Good day. Thanks for having me. My name is Troy Lynch. I'm the IT director at Other World Computing. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've been at Other World Computing for going on 8 years, been in IT for over 35 years, pretty much my whole life. Started back when 300 baud modems were the communication speed. Started as a child on Commodore. Moved over to the PC, found a fascination with Unix and communications. Was fascinated with the ability to not only communicate from long ranges, but also have multiple people in one system, and that fascinated me. Back in this time, the main protocol of networks was IPX, SPX, ran a lot of coax cable back in the day. Slowly saw the transition over to TCP/IP, worked as a consultant at small IT firms, and then got my big boy job at a large volume printing company, working as an R&D admin or administrator for an R&D team at this large volume printing company. This was in the mid-90s. I was one of the few people that understood TCP/IP and the way communications worked, so I was promoted to internet administrator pretty quickly. This is back when the internet pretty much first started, or when it first became popular to the public. Back then, we had what was called internet on a stick. Sorry, this is my first time, so please bear with me. Back then, the internet on a stick, everything was a pretty small attack vector. There's one spot of communication. You open the ports that needed to be communicated. Relatively pretty easy to maintain security back then. Don't know if anybody has been in IT this long and remember this was a security back then for floppy drives. Needless to say, things have escalated quite a bit in the attack vector in the enterprise. Someone found that you could run a little program on a network that would communicate outside of the network, and then all of a sudden you had full access to the network. So this makes things, keeping security or making things secure a lot bigger of a challenge. This brings my presentation to security posture. What do we mean by security posture? Security posture is the strength and readiness of an organization against defenses, or defenses against threats. It's not just firewalls, antivirus, policies, it's a combination of people, processes, and technology. With the advancement of AI and the increased global communications, the task now is incredibly more difficult. Organizations are being attacked daily from every direction. Why are we talking about security posture today? Every 39 seconds there's a cyber attack. Over $20 billion is lost in ransomware. The good news for everyone here using Macs, you reduce the risk, so that's a good thing. Go over the 7 pillars of security posture: governance and policy, identity and access management, data protection, network and endpoint security, threat detection, response, resilience, continuity, and people and culture. Now to the fun stuff, the rules. This is a requirement in every environment. This is what keeps everything together. This is what guides our security in an enterprise. If we don't do this, everything falls apart. We follow rules such as NIST, ISO 27001. With technology threats moving this fast, we do these with technology and all this happening so fast. This should be audited on a regular basis. Not only should it be audited on a regular basis internally, it should also be audited on a regular basis externally, and that bringing in outside eyes to look over and approve what changes you've done. This brings me to access and identity control. Having a central place for identity control and access management is a must in this day and age. This allows you to onboard, offboard people very quickly, which is a huge benefit. Nowadays, our perimeter is authentication. or at the login prompt. It's not anymore just at the firewall. With everything being software as a service, you have to protect that at that edge level. You do this with two-factor authentication, which everybody loves. We take this a little bit further, and how we do this is we're using certificate authentication. So at the machine level, at the user level, we authenticate at the endpoints with those certificates, and we use the two-factor authentication through the desktop. And this allows us to minimize some of the multi-factor authentication. It also allows us to validate machines. One of the challenges in an organization when you spread across multiple areas, one of the challenges is rogue machines coming onto your network. This helps us minimize that risk. We also use role-based authentication. Role-based authentication is used basically what we do is we do positions. So roles always usually stay the same. The people are what change. So what we do to accomplish this is we use authentication roles and assign that to the person. So if somebody comes from one location to another or changes roles, those security footprints will follow according to that person's role. The next step is zoning everything out. Basically, what we do is containerize areas according to the resources that are needed. Example, networks, departments, all of these are containers. And the person that is in that container can only communicate into that container. We make sure that we're putting monitors on the edge of this container to make sure that the proper people are not only the proper people are able to see what is in that container. And we also monitor that to make sure that there are no outside threats in that container. This all rolls up to a change management system. We roll this up to a change management system to verify that anything that is changed correlates with approvals as well as access logs. Next, this brings me to data protection. Obviously, information is our gold. This is what we protect. This is the center of everything. Encryption is our friend. Zone access is our friend. Monitoring data is our friend. These tools help us protect and keep our data safe, as well as using RAID and redundant hardware. Got to make sure that the data is available. This doesn't just include databases in our database. This also includes our software development as well. Our software development is always verified on check-ins. Make sure that everybody every bit of code is reviewed as it's being checked in. This is also ran through security software to analyze for possible threats or possible bugs in that software as well, and just helps keep a little bit closer of an eye on the development cycle. One thing in organizations are siloing is not a good thing. One thing in a development team, if you're trying to increase security, siloing the development team can be an advantage. And then of course, backups. All data in critical systems should be backed up at multiple locations. As well as pushing it out to the cloud. Make sure that if you do have a disaster, that you do have availability to that data. How many people run a mock disaster on an annual basis? Anybody? Disaster recovery, mock disaster recoveries are a huge advantage, and this is why it's a huge advantage. Disaster recoveries allow you to, going through a mock disaster recovery, it's going to show you not only how your team responds to it, but it also shows you gaps in the team, as well as gives you KPIs and metrics to be able to see how long it's going to take you to recover. So if you have a major outage at a location, you don't want to just run a disaster recovery on just one segment. You want to go through the whole area. or to the whole location. If a plane comes in and wipes out your location, you want to know what it's going to take to get that back. And so that's what helps with the disaster, or with mock disaster recoveries. Next is networks. How we transfer our data and how reliant the network systems and security and endpoint security is. This is again, encryption is our friend. It's got to be used everywhere. Remember, firewall on a stick, things have become more complicated. Systems extend across the globe. Managed network security is an increasing challenge. This circles back to also setting up zones and communicating contained in the zones only. The goal is to create layers of security. So if they get through if one zone gets compromised, they are not able to get to another zone. And that's the goal of all of this, as well as creating layers to get to that zone. If they get through one layer, they can't get through the next layer, can't get through the next layer, and if they do, they get to the zone. They can't get to the other zones. So you contain the traffic according to that container or that zone. This is also zero trust security is a huge advantage on this side. Again, back to the certificates, using machine certificates and using user level certificates. At the port level, one of the hardest challenges in an organization is the change management on the ports. So what we do is we use 802.x security certificates on the port level. By plugging in to the port automatically authenticates the machine. It also authenticates the user. So this validates whether the machine has access to get outside of the network or even attach to the network, but as well as certificates to authenticate the user, so you know what access level and what zones they have access to. This also is in a change management situation. It keeps that port secure all the time. So instead of having to go in and have somebody change the port access or changing any configuration on the ports, using certificate authentication allows you to work around that. This also goes into Wi-Fi. Also works on the VPN. Basically, every edge connection. This is how we control that. The next is attacks or threats. Attacks are pretty regular in this day and age. What matters here is the response. So running your logs and running your alerts into a common system, in a SIEMs system, and actively monitoring those, as well as putting a team on that is 24/7. So the quicker that you respond to these issues or these threats, the better that you come out on top. So getting everything into a central point of monitoring and central alerting system is a must. Next is continuity. How we react and counter these threats determines our resiliency. This goes back to running mock disaster recoveries, review our posture on a regular basis, creating a plan where systems can be shifted as needed, and help in a disaster recovery. We use containers, containerize all our systems. If there is a disaster, we move those containers out into a cloud situation, or we can pivot those into different locations. So this helps with our resilience. This helps keep our systems up when things are failing or when things are compromised, as well as giving us the ability to shift as needed. In the end of the day, the business has to run. People are probably the weakest point. Running mock phishing attempts or mock phishing campaigns is a must. Scoring those people, educating everybody, also promoting. If you see something, report it. People are weakest points. So the more effort that you put on the people and educating them, this continues to help with the whole security posture. And now we look at today. With AI, things are more challenging. AI is you have deep fakes, you have voice manipulation. There's so much with AI right now on a attacker level that brings a whole new platform into attacks, and it makes it very more difficult to mitigate. And so AI is not only a bad thing, but also using this to monitor your threats and using that to your advantage to monitor systems that you can't normally monitor. AI is going to let you do that. And that's all I have about security posture today. So now I'll get on to some of our products. This is one of the reasons we're here. Some of our new products coming out that we just released: Thunderbolt 5 Dock, Thunderbolt 5 Hub, allows two Thunderbolt 4 workflows, increased speed. Thunderbolt 5 dual 10 gigabit dock. You have two network ports. You can aggregate those together, double the speed as far as your transfer rates. But then also you have 10 gig, two 10 gig ports, which you can separate into to two separate networks. We also have the Thunderbay Flex 8, supports NVMe, SATA, has a expansion PCIe slot, comes with SoftRAID 6 and Thunderbay 8, which also comes with SoftRAID 6. And then we have the Thunderblade X12, up to 96 terabytes, does 6 gigabytes sustainable speed, incredibly fast. And then a Jupiter Mini, which is our NAS device, does 10 gigabit speed, and then and supports networks, and is a great device for small work groups and sharing files amongst your work group. And that's all I have today.